What's up, guys? Rich DeBerry with La Foundation Canine, which is the foundation. Hey, we're gonna switch it up a little bit tonight. I'm feeding the dogs, and normally, I'm feeding the our raw dog food, but I switched it up. I'm feeding the dogs all whole chickens. Just a little change in the pace to get them some bone. Cause I haven't done chicken feet in the last 2 weeks. So giving all the dogs whole chickens, let them play with that a little bit, and work our way around. Which takes me to my point, where I'm gonna tell y'all, man. I get so many people that call me and talk about buying a dog, and they're all about, ironically, as I feed, I want a dog that's gonna weigh this, and this, and this, and 150 pound, 175 pound, 180 pound dog. And let me tell you something, man. Do not get caught up in the mix of worrying about how much your dog weighs. Be more concerned about the functionality of the dog, not how much the dog weighs. And I tell a lot of people this, man. Like, I don't weigh my dogs. A lot of people ask me how much a dog weighs. Man, I don't know, because I look at my dog's appearance, which I'm gonna tell y'all about. How I determine if my dog is fat or not fat, need to eat more, not eat more, I need to put him up or not, is I look at the dog's ribs. I look at the dog on his rib line. If you can't see, in my opinion, it is what it is. It's worth what you pay for it. And you ain't paid nothing for my opinion. But in my opinion, if you can't see the last 2 to 3 ribs on your dog, and when you finish watching this video, you go look at your dog. Your dog probably a little too overweight. You need to cut him back some. And it's not as healthy for the dog to have him in that type of condition. I know I got another corner cane in here somewhere. So listen, man, don't get caught up in that. Make sure you can see your dog ribs, because here's what happens. If you that person that say, I got a 5-month-old dog that weighs 80 pounds, first of all, if you in the Presa Canario breed, I'm wondering to myself, what breed you have? That's the first thing. Secondly, you have to stop and think about what type of health conditions are you putting the dog in by having him at that weight at such a young age. Like, think about it. You got this little young dog that's still a puppy, and you pounded him with food because you want to beat your chest and say your dog is this and weighs this and age. Like, at the end of the day, how healthy are you making the dog, man? That's what it's about, right? You want a healthy, functional dog. You don't want a dog. Here, girl. You don't want a dog that can't function, that can't move, that ain't healthy. They all confused as hell, like, this ain't our raw chicken. Our raw beef. But you don't want a dog that's not functional, man. You want your dog to be healthy, and something that happens in this breed and other large breeds is you have something that's called hip dysplasia. What is hip dysplasia? Do you even know what it is? You know they have a test for it that you can ask your breeders, hey, how did the parents' hip score before they bred the dog? To know if your dog is going to be at risk or not. And it's not the be all, say all, because the statistics say that it's 70% genetics, how you can get hip dysplasia, and 30% environmental. So just because the parents has good hip doesn't mean the puppy's gonna have good hip, but the risk is lower. And when you spending your money it's all about lowering your risk factor, right? So don't go load your dog up on food so you can pound your chest to make it seem like you got this big, bad, heavyweight type dog, when really that ain't even really important. Can your dog function? Can your dog move? Can your dog jump? Does your dog have good hips, good elbows? Don't overfeed your dog, man. It's not that. That is not what it's about. So don't get caught up in that. And trust me, I used to personally do it. So I'm not knocking anyone, because I used to like, yeah, my dog is this. He's gonna weigh this. He's gonna be 160 pounds. Like, until I started getting dogs and really educating myself on what's healthy for the dog and what's not healthy for the dog, I watch my dogs wait. I don't just load them up, man. So just pay attention, man. Don't get caught up in the weight factor of the dogs. It's not about how much a dog weighs. Take a look at your dog's size and look at his rib cage. If you can't see your dog's rib cage, cut back, man. Cut back. Don't overload the dog. Let the dog grow and mature. And if you want to put a little extra weight on your dog, wait till he's 2.5, 3 years old. Don't do it to him when he's a puppy. Let him grow up. Let him put some let his joints and ligaments develop. Let his hips and everything connect the way they should before you start loading the dog up on weight. But that's my soapbox for the night. It ain't about the weight, it's about the functionality of your dog. Don't overfeed your dogs. Make sure you know what you're doing. Don't be the guy that says my dog is 4 months old and weighs 80 pounds. I wouldn't want a dog like that, personally. So don't be that guy. And typically, here's a rule of thumb to go by. In this breed that I have, you typically want to try to be on the average, give or take 5 to 7 pounds, of 10 pounds per month. Dog 1 month old, 10 pounds. 2 month old, 20 pounds. 4 month old, 40 pounds. 8 months old, 80 pounds. You should stay in that range to be in a safe place. But again, some dogs are big boned dogs, so that's not the golden, like that's not the technically what you can, like what you have to go off depending on your dog's bone structure. But that's the rule of thumb that I use when I'm looking at my dogs on if I need to give them more food or not, based on how their ribs look, so I know what type of measurement to go by. It's just something I picked up from experience. I'm sharing with you guys to try to help you out. It ain't about having this big, bad, overweight dog that can't function, because that's not the goal. And you wouldn't believe how many dogs I train that come here that are overweight. I get to walking the dog a mile or two up the block, and the dog can't breathe and tired as shit because they're overweight. And then as they're overweight, their owners are not even conditioning them. So they loading the dog up with food, loading the dog up with food, and not conditioning your dog. We'll talk about conditioning your dog in another time. But right now, again, guys, pay attention to your dog. Look at the weight. A rule to go by, look at his ribs. Look for the last 2 ribs. Don't load them up too soon, too young, because you can mess your dog hips and elbows up, and that's not the goal. Hey, but you already know what it is. Get you a presser. Turn it up.